maybe they'll want to see this as well.
So for this one, story came from the 4-hour. So it's not in a trend on the daily or the weekly, but it is in a trend on the 4-hour. So I was taking the 4-hour as the owner. And then when we had this breach that went to the upside and he took out the guy who started it, that's going to invite some sellers. And this thing here came in on some news for the USD business inventories and I think PPI, I think it was, and then it brought price down. So initially when I was looking at it on the 1-hour, I was looking more at the weakness that came in. But then I noticed that he starts off on high volume, pulls back, and then he doesn't pump it, even though price drops quite significantly. There's no volume.
That is a pump in volume. That looks like a news event.
This one.
Yeah.
But the volume is on, sorry, I was talking about this pullback, and then when he drops again.
Yeah, so that's a sell pump again, right?
Okay, even though the volume is low.
It's not, okay, so okay, let me explain it this way. All right, so here we go. This is, let's say, here's an example I've been using with my one-on-one guys, where let's say you know a news event's going to come out and you sort of have an idea on how you're going to respond to it. So let's say the news is very, very, very good. You would say the current price is $1. I have a trajectory to take it up to $10 if it's very, very, very good. But if it's okay, good, then I will trajectory to $8, right?
Okay.
So that's how they're thinking. What we see is we see the current price. We don't see what they're aiming for. We don't see what their projection is. All we see is they're doing this. Now, if I was to make you the big boy and you know it has to go to $10, you would put most of your money at the bottom, right?
Yes, at the bottom.
So let's say you put in a big chunk of it down here. What if there's not enough sellers? What's going to happen to price?
It will slip away and go higher.
It'll slip away. And then you get some kind of a discount. You would pump again as much as you can, right?
Yes.
As it's going higher, are you pumping whatever you try to pump here, over here?
No, less will be pumped.
Less.
Okay.
Having that said, if this is a large move, the following pumps doesn't have to be equivalent or higher. It's logical for it to always be less, as long as you keep getting that Nike logo coming out of it, where it's like low volume and then high volume suddenly on its attempt down, the volume picks up. It's not something that's what's the right word to say? It's not something that's very high volume, but that's a huge ATR movement, and it was quiet, and then he suddenly picked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So compared to the pullback, not just the average, but the preceding pullback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then that's like, okay, they're selling it. They're selling it. What about the next subsequent pullback sell here?
Okay. So
are they selling it?
That one is less because on the pullback we had a higher, and then breach was not higher than the pullback.
So now if the target is going from, let's say, $1 to $10, or actually in this case, let's flip it around. The target is reversed. It's $10 and they're like, oh, based on the news, I'm going to take this down to $5. Okay.
Okay.
So they're pumping it, which is that one. Then they're pumping it, which is a second exclamation mark. And now they're not pumping it. Could it be they're coming to an end? Could it be they're gone beyond 50% of the entire projection?
Okay.
So they're not pumping. Yeah. So they're not pumping it anymore, But then what's this now?
Yeah, it's in the opposite direction. Strong move against our
Yeah.
trend.
So there's even a cash out showing up. That's when you can start to know, okay, they were pumping it, and then they slow down on the pumping it, followed by this design that shows up for you to say, okay, I think the sell attempts are done. Overall context is an uptrend. However, zoom out a bit, zoom out quite a bit. Okay, you got a pump here for the buy. You got a pump here for the buy, but then you got this massive volume up here for a cash out.
Okay.
So you have to take into these accounts of, if I'm going to do a buy, this is a refresh that you're trying to buy, which means it's restarting the engine of this uptrend. But the engine started with lots of volume pumping it down, and then they suddenly stopped and cashed out. So if you're getting a follow through now, which you are, then you have to take into account of there's probably one more element that's going to come in, which is going to be the probe of that guy.
Okay. The probe. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's zoom back in. So the way you're entering it is a normal retracement. If this was a retracement, I'd say buy it. The retracement meaning if you're near the action, like let's say whatever a buy action is. What you're trading right now is the big boy up movement and no more sell movement. You're not really trading an action. You're just trading, therefore it must mean you're trading that.
Okay.
Right? What I mean by action is boom, and then you trade this or you trade that. You see the difference? It's like you're trading an action that you're following an action that has happened in the market.
Yeah.
But here, what you're doing is the boom was this way, and because they disappeared, you're buying. But there's nothing, there's no action.
Okay. I was thinking that the action is coming in now because of the pound news that happened at Frankfurt Open. So that might create a momentum trade in the upward direction.
But that's a might, right?
Okay.
We don't have the volume or anything coming out of it. It's just very quiet.
Okay, so it's best to wait to see that first before trying to do the tight entries.
Generally, yeah. Like this is where you are right now in this type of pullback situation, and notice where the volume starts picking up. It's in that area. It's low.
Okay.
And then as it pops, volume starts kicking in.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I mean to say is, in a retracement with no, let's say this is the guy who started it. If it does this, and then it comes up and makes you your reverse Adidas logo, okay? Then if you buy that, which you've done like this here, that's okay in a retracement context. In a pullback context, because sellers are involved or you're into the next day, a lot of time has passed. You know, in this case, you're into it like the third day or something. First of all, there needs to be an intention for the buy side, no intention for the sell side.
Okay.
That needs to be there. And then when you do the buy, you get that reverse sort of Adidas logo. It pops up. The guy who killed this guy generally will come get tested because the sellers are still around.
Okay.
This generally happens quite a bit. They go to test that, but you're not going to get that on this one. They're not going to do it on this one. This one, the action was like, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. You're very close to the action where people are like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So that's a retracement, which is smaller time frames. Pullbacks, higher time frames, that extra snap down comes in. It's like this. Last guy who started it kicks off. That's a buy right there. They come back to test him.
Okay.
And then as they come back to test him, suddenly in that area, it's alive again.
Yeah, I can see that now. Yeah. I need to remember this.
Yeah. So it's a good design, but it has no follow through on why the buy, what's causing the buy to happen. There's
Okay.
nothing there. It's just there. But the contrary is true. There was a sell that was happening, but then they just stopped.
Okay. So yeah, that's not good enough to do like a momentum type buy because it's not, there's no action yet.
There's no action, correct.
Okay.
It's just the sell is failing, that's it. But a buy is not coming. Okay, so here's a basic logic. The buy that you're doing, let's go back to our cameras for a second. Okay, now I want you to think of the logic of trading. For us to get paid of anything, we have to provide a service, right? That's just the way money works, right? You have to really understand that. So for you to earn money, there has to be an exchange because money itself means nothing. So in trading, what are you exchanging by hitting that buy button? What value are you providing?
We just, not really any value unless someone really wants the currency, then we'd provide it for them.
Correct. So what you're doing is, I'll buy this. In case somebody wants it, then they will probably buy it. But we don't have that privilege to wait until the in case comes. We're time sensitive.
Okay.
Right? Because our money needs to move. So having that said, whenever a larger player has this situation, we all know that situation basically means not filled. You as a trader, your job is, I spot the demand, I understand, I can help you get a fill. You need 40,000 pieces, I'll get you 500. I can buy 500, I can give it to you. You give me 500, I bought it for $10, you give me 500 pieces for $11 and you make your money. That's a service you're providing because you know there's a demand, someone requires something, and you're like, let me come and let me fulfill your demand.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's go back into that Aussie CAD. Okay, so whenever there's a slippage in the market where it goes sideways and then it slips like that, that means there's a high demand for getting rid of the Aussies or a high demand for buying the CADs.
Okay.
You can go in and saying, if you time it well and negotiate well, you can get a piece of that and saying, let me get a part of this for you. However, if you join here and you say, let me get this part of it for you, you have to understand maybe the demand is disappearing. So by you doing the sell, even though it looks like a downtrend and the pattern is right, and the store is telling you, I'll give you a discount, buy it from me, by you buying it in bulk, you're going to get stuck holding on to it because the larger player who has this big requirement is stepping away. Same thing here is what gives us, the buyer, large demand, he needs it, and we're saying, let me get to work, let me see if I can get you some orders and give it to you. We don't have that. It's quiet. It's quiet versus, let me get to work. I know you need something, you didn't get filled, that's why it's a big bar. I'll get to work, I'll find you something, don't worry. That's how we get paid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's making sense.
So first we have to find what the demand is. What does, the audience want? And then we fulfill that demand.
Okay.
Okay, this area, it's an unknown demand. I don't know if the buyers will take it. I don't know if the sellers have actually stopped or not. We're just in limbo where it's like we're buying the product, but we're just frantically looking around. Does anyone want to buy this?
Yeah. Okay.
You
I can
see, you
see.
see how I'm trying to move you away from the chart, but make you think more of what is it that we do in trading?
Yes. Yeah. I can see.
Yeah. Okay.
So for this one, we don't see a reason that people want to buy it yet. We just see that sellers had a reason to sell, but now they stop selling.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
So in this one, earlier one, when it popped up, you had the volume intention, right?
Yes.
But then when it pulled back, what's the intention?
Okay.
So
It disappeared.
it disappeared. So we're just assuming maybe he still wants it because that was, to break 1 day worth of data. That means he must be desperate. If he is desperate, maybe I can get him a buy here. Oh, I can feel him. He's back. Okay, buy.
Okay.
And then sell it back to him. You're not buying it from him. You're buying it from the market, but you're saying, hey, you have a big requirement. Let me fulfill a little bit for a premium price.
Okay.
Because in his mind, he's going somewhere. He's going to maybe X, Y, and Z number. And we're just trying to say, I know you still want it because you keep pumping money every step of the way. So I know you still want it and no one is selling. So I know you still want it. Let me see if I can time it right, get some orders and sell it to you.
Okay. So if we apply it to this one, since there's no buy intention, would we need to see like a strong break of this level? And then we say, okay, now I can see this is in demand. So now any test I get, that's fine to buy.
But that's going to be a war now. So let's say you have this. Yes, so you do get demand, but then you have this guy who came in with volume that's going to fight that area. So then you're going to need that little thing up there.
Okay.
To fight it. So
is
where you have your
called a
take profit is
two-sided
good.
market?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So then are we allowed to play in between?
No, I would be more sell biased in this type of market because whatever buy that was being pumped, it stopped getting pumped here. Take a look at this. Put your mouse on this rise in volume. Where exactly is that? It's not at the birth. It's towards the top. Put your mouse on this increase in volume. Again, it's not at the birth. It's on the upper end on this candle, and then even higher on that candle. So whatever was being pumped suddenly stopped being pumped, in fact, became the opposite. And then once it became the opposite, it crashed, follow through, crashed. So it's like, is the trend over? If the trend is over and this thing is selling hard and nobody is buying it, could it be a sell again?
Okay.
You see what I mean? Because we would, if we were a seller, we would say, as long as no buyers step in, we can sell it again.
Yes.
Because we know their intention, but their intention had a cash out. So it's like, okay, what the hell is that? So you're in a pair that the demand is unreadable.
Okay. So this one is basically we can't really do anything yet until we get it into the seller's area because he has the freshest demand, and then we see if he still wants it.
If he still wants it, that's the right word to say. Yeah, we'll see if he still wants it. And if he doesn't want it, then there must be some merit to the overall uptrend,
Okay.
because it's overall uptrend because, you know, like the demand is there. That's why it's an uptrend. But the demand had this high volume that hasn't shown up for ages. That sort of points out, could they have called it and saying, okay, enough?
Okay.
Yeah. So let's take a look at some similar pairs to see, is there more, like what information did you use for this? What news event?
The buy side, I didn't check what news event started this initial uptrend. My focus was more on the seller dying, which was the
No. I mean, what was the most recent? Let's put it this way: what's
oh
the most recent news event that you were getting interested in?
oh this one it's pound stuff. It is retail sales and
Retail stuff.
PPI for you.
Okay. Pound had weakness today, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Now everything's in an uptrend, correct?
correct.
Okay. Is there one that's not in an uptrend?
Mm, maybe this one, pound yen.
Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at this.
Okay, so that tells us there's demand for selling pound on pound New Zealand.
Yeah. Majority of the pounds are saying this is not a normal thing to do. We took out the entire activity of yesterday and we crashed below it with this news event. That means this news event is powerful enough to create a desire to sell the pounds. So
Okay,
if you then understand that logic, you would say, I don't like the way pound yen looks because I'm not sure how the desire is. There was no buildup. So it's not, you know, if there's no buildup to just break through that low, it's like, it doesn't require much. It's okay. But if there's a satisfactory movement and then it breaks through it, that creates memory. People will remember that, which means it's a trap. Like even if it go up to there, it will respond again. It'll be sensitive.
okay.
Right?
Yeah,
So we have to look at this as, okay, if they're trying to sell it, but it all looks like an uptrend. Can we make this all 4 hours just so we can have a look of what are we dealing with? Okay, the closest thing that looks good is the pound Swiss being top of a range.
okay, yes, yes.
Right? Because everything else looks like, you know, it's been going up, and up. But now look at this. Let's monitor this. You have your mouse here with me. Put your mouse here on this high peak volume. Initiation. This high peak volume. Okay, it's in the middle of the range. Okay, this high peak volume, the green one. Okay, no, the next one. Yeah. So initiation. So there's a blast up. There's a blast up. They're still buying. How about this one? They're still buying. That's a break of the range as well. Break of that range. Break of that range. Okay. How about this one? Okay, that's a little
This
high
one.
volume up there. Go back a little bit. One or two candles back. So it started with some initiation and then it topped off with more volume on top. That's a problem.
Okay,
Let's move on to the next one. This, and this. Initiation, a little bit initiate, topping off. So
okay.
around this area, problems start showing up. But earlier, it's like, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah.
Now with the volume coming in from here at an SNR level, nothing happened. In fact, again, topping off the volume.
Okay.
And now
Yeah.
the news event is trying to push it down. Now the news event hasn't really shown up yet on the 4 hours because it's probably still developing. Maybe it doesn't even show up, but it's showing you signs on the 4 hour when we read it that they seem to not maintain that upward trajectory. They seem to have saying enough.
Okay.
We've probably reached our target levels. It's time to cash out. We got the movement that we needed. What caused this initial demand? That demand was fulfilled.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's like, okay, yeah, I see it's an uptrend. That doesn't mean I want to sell it just because the uptrend has died. I'd like to see if there's any reason that someone wants to sell this so I can get in onto the sell. So in an uptrend, there's more buyers than sellers. So whatever you sell, they'll keep irritating you. But in a range, you have sell people, you have buy people.
Okay.
You'll have help there. They'll assist you. How about this? Let's open up pound New Zealand. Huh. What is that? Overall flow down. You're up at resistance. It's messy,
Okay.
this one, but this one has gone up parabolic and then it's topped off. High volume on this last bar, and then whatever that range broke down today had volume in it. So you see how we're thinking. We're basically looking for, show me where the action is, grab my attention. So if the attention was pound is hot, so we're like, okay, let me go look at pound. Once we come to pound, we do our due diligence, which is,
Okay.
is there a good deal for me? Is there a high demand for me to fulfill? Is there a reason for me to come and do this job? If there's
Okay.
not a high demand for my services, I'm not going to get paid well. So let me look for one that's moved more, which means, and it's an outlier of, oh, they don't have enough orders. I can help them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we fit in as traders. Our job is to give them that healthy assistance, and we get paid for it. So you have to think of yourself as as a real estate broker in Hollywood. You're an
Okay.
agent for the large players, and because even if you make one deal with them, you get paid a lot. You have to think of it
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Plus, if you find good pairs, you'll have less irritation on your trade
Yeah.
because the demand is so high that people would be more interested in it. So if you open this on the 5 minutes, this pound New Zealand.
One second, I have a question
Yeah,
on this time
sure.
frame.
Sure.
So, but wouldn't we say this is also a range, and it popped with quite some volume here?
It's it's not major volume. It's not like that. It's just normal.
Okay.
If it was this volume here, then I would say yes.
So we don't count this as, okay, it's part of it because it got consumed.
It's consumed and it's very far away.
Okay.
If it was like one candle before, okay, that's fine. Because
So
the energy is starting.
it's just an exchange, it's not an intention.
Correct. Which means they had a large transaction and they found out there's still a lot of sellers standby.
Okay.
So a lot of exchange happened, but more price didn't move because a big boy says it's time for me to exchange my pounds to New Zealand. So he just exchanged it, but the market didn't move. There was probably a news event that he thought, I need to move my money back to this for safety. Okay. But for safety, but not for profit. There's also transactions for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's take a look at this on the 5 and let's see that drop down from the level and then see if there's any intention. This is the news event, right? I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you look at now, you'll have to go to the 1 to see if how this momentum would unfold. So go to the 1 real quick just to have a look at that. Okay, you have this going up, pulling back, going up. Okay, no higher high since. This area, you want this to hold, give you that Adidas look, slow down, and if that pops, you should be okay to go. It won't come back to test him. It'll
Okay.
just go. It'll just go because the momentum is hot. Now, when it goes, you have to constantly monitor the volume as well. Are they still pumping it? That means on your 1 minute time frame, you're okay. You're okay. Keep going.
Okay.
You know, if suddenly you have high volume showing up here, it's like, okay, stop the pumping, stop the selling. I think that 5 minute needs to pull back, or 15 minutes needs to pull back, etc., etc.
Okay.
Look at this. This is the 1 minute going at it again. This is the market open also, right?
Yes, London Open.
London Open. So volume again during a retracement. You can almost classify this as a pullback. So in which case you have to take out this guy, but to take him out, you need some sort of consolidation to show you they got in.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And once that pops down, it would be ideal if you can get a test back to that. And then you can sell.
Okay.
Okay, because on the way up, he sort of took out this last guy who started it. So volume is still saying the sell is still on. This is considered pre-market volume, if you want to put it that way, because London, the boys just stepped into the office. They have to respond to the news that just came out.
Okay.
So whether they respond positively or negatively, we have to do our job to be like, let me understand, is the demand still there or not? So London's coming in with their volume and they're responding to this news event.
Making more sense now.
And the move up was really sharp. So the probe is more likely.
Generally, yes. So sell's coming in too hot. We need it to slow down a bit. We got to get your upside down Adidas logo, or normal Adidas logo, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the normal one, right?
Yeah, I think that way is normal.
Okay.
Okay. I just remembered a question that I had regarding the news. If I go back to Aussie CAD, it's like the situation where the news takes it in the other way, but still kind of creates the intention. So with this one, when the news was released over here, it started taking it in the other direction, and the volume did start to increase. So I was thinking, if it is able to reverse that, then it means the intention is actually activated to the upside.
To the upside, that's correct. But now you have to think is how much demand do they have? If they don't have a lot of demand, then how can you supply them 100 lots in the future? Right now, you might be trading mini lots. That's fine. But you have to prepare as if you're trading 1,000 lots that you have to give to them.
Okay.
If there isn't much demand, then you'll be stuck holding those orders.
So at what point will I know there's enough demand? Will I need to wait for it to show up on the 1 hour as the break of the overall level?
You need to see a strong intention that breaks through this entire thing, and then the volume shows up, on the 60, let's say. And it's like,
okay,
especially if you're doing a pullback.
Okay.
Pullbacks in Forex, my personal preference is it needs to break levels. You see why I did USD CAD sell yesterday? That mammoth of a range broke down yesterday with the news event.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back to that other one. The 1 minute chart that we were on here. Still too strong. Volume's high too. Whenever the volume gets high, there's one of two things that should go through your mind. Is it high because they're getting ready to sell? And if they don't sell and they're still getting ready here and the volume just keeps getting higher, then the risk is, in this context, the volume is down low. It's
Okay.
building up down low. So if that thing pops up, it's game over.
Okay.
Okay, because we would say, you know, in this context right here, just that much. In that downtrend, this volume, if the pop down didn't happen, we would say, why is our volume at the bottom of the trend? But the fact that it actually followed through, we're like, okay, no, it's starting a new trend. Okay.
Okay.
Look at the last candle. It's the red one, it's slowed down. In 35 seconds, we'll see if this candle is also slow. Because then you're starting to have your consolidation starting to build up a bit. No, not yet.
Does a consolidation need to happen at this guy who's came in with power, or is it fine if it happens up? Okay.
No, it needs to happen here, closer to him is better. Remember the three spots? The range, the channel, the SNR?
Yes.
If it happens between the channel and the range, it's better.
Okay.
Because it's telling you it's, think of it this way. SNR doesn't hold, that's fine. But these guys are trapped here, right? In here. Whoever was selling is trapped. So this should be a very sensitive area. If it touches it, it should bounce up. It should be very sensitive. If it touches it and it doesn't bounce up, doesn't bounce up, doesn't bounce up, that means you're going to make it through. Okay. He's got nothing. He's got nothing, as we say, right?
Yeah.
You're chewing out the demand in this area, or supply if it's reversed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because they're supposed to be sensitive there. It's supposed to respond hard. No, it's starting to consolidate. It's got two candles of consolidation. Okay, it's breaking to the downside. If this thing comes straight down, okay, which it has now. Now the question comes is, well, is that my entry, or am I going to get a test of this? Because he's responsible for taking this guy out.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's a pullback, it's like, and market open, it's like, maybe we're going to have to sort of see if we can get in here somewhere. Or if you see high volume, then it's like, okay, just get in.
Okay.
So notice the volume. The intent is trying. I just hope the volume wasn't towards the wick part, the tail part of it. But it does show as it rolled, the volume came back. So that's 2 for 2 already. Volume here, and then volume here. These are all sell attempts, like intentional sells.
Okay.
And my only concern is that this volume is not from this little piece.
Yeah.
There's volume coming in on that little green bar.
So now it feels like we didn't take out the area yet. He's still holding on. It just let it slip a bit.
Maybe. If it's fast, then we say it hasn't held it. It hasn't held. This is something I was explaining to one of the guys the other day. If you have a level that's sensitive, for example, here, right? If it comes down like this, I'd say he's gone through because he's supposed to be sensitive. How did the price get below? On the contrary, if he does it like this, then I can say he's still alive. So this one came with full speed, responded. Remember how we were saying, I hope the volume is not at the tail part of things?
Yeah.
It feels like he went down and he quickly rejected, which means it's still sensitive, this area.
Okay.
But look at the way we're consolidating now. Slow down, smaller candles, no movement. It's just hovering, which means if we break down from here, we might want to do that test one. But I have a feeling that this is the test at the same time. So it's like, crap. It's a close call.
Okay.
Can you go down to the 15 seconds so I can look at this wick volume? Because that looks like it's testing that break. Where's this volume here and this volume here? Okay, it's on that, and the next one is that. Yeah, the break of this is go time. And then stop loss there. So let's go back to the 1 minute and monitor this thing now. It's got candle. So if you get stopped out here where we were, can you put a risk reward there? Entry, let's say current price and stop loss. Let me make my thing there. Stop loss here. Yeah. Okay, if that gets stopped out, then the next entry would be trying to probe this in case this hasn't actually taken it out.
Okay.
Then this would go down and it would come back to testing. Okay, so now the timing part is done. So this is just the basic stuff, like the basic stuff as in find me a way to get some of these orders. But the whole core of the meat is, do I know they need something? If they need something, I should supply. I shouldn't just going around supplying things randomly. I need to know they need something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll sell this a bit. This one, I'll call this a Yash trade.
Nice. Thank you. Yash was just listening.
This is pound in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Sold. Stops at 48. Okay. My entry price is 38. Okay, but that's okay. You don't need to change it. Just leave it there. That's
Okay.
your entry that it's supposed to be.
So now it broke, but the volume wasn't high, so that's a problem.
Yeah, it just means this is the first time we're seeing the sell-off happen without intentional movement, which means if the target is from here to here, for example, let's say the $1 mark, and they're currently at the $10 mark, then if they pump money, they pump money, they pump money, they pump money, and they stop pumping the money, we have to assume they have reached approximately 50% or more towards the
Okay.
target. So as they're doing that, the first one, I don't mind it. The second one also, it's like, it's a high risk, lower size. But as it gets closer to the third swing, fourth swing, don't touch it. Don't touch it. They're not pumping it. You're getting into danger zone. It doesn't mean there's a buyer. There's no buyer either, but there's no seller either. So it's like, if there's no demand, why go and supply that? It's the wrong area to supply.
Okay.
Supply them here. So more money here, less money here. Makes sense?
Okay. Makes sense.
How do you feel about the timing part of things now? It's a lot smoother, isn't it?
Yeah. Once you know that the demand is there, then it just becomes a matter of finding your little bit of a pullback and then digesting through whoever is in charge.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get ready to close this thing. I don't know what the big picture is. I don't know where the higher support resistance is. This will go towards Yash's flight expenses to Dubai.
Thanks. I
Okay.
was supposed to pay for my flight with my own trading profits, but it's taking a while.
Well, this is your trade technically. Okay. I'm closing it for $750 right now. Yeah, I think that's how much. That's half your flight. No, your flight is like $1,000. I don't know with the oil stuff these days. Who knows? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
out. So I made 2R. Your trade that it's approaching is reaching 3Rs.
Yeah, I really like the style of trading, and that just elements that I think I'm getting right in the pre-analysis, but then when I speak to you, I realize it wasn't there.
Yeah, because I've trained most of you guys in the things you guys desire. And the things you guys desire, I'm also supplying you guys, right? Is the technical design. If I look at this, what am I supposed to do? So it's like, okay, let's talk about that.
Okay.
But it's good to also talk about why. What are we actually doing? It's the boring stuff is where the good stuff is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I need to train the volume read a bit. Because sometimes I'm getting confused if volume shows up in between. Like, okay, now what is it? Is it the top? Is it just consumption they need to do? But now the break has less volume than in between.
Yeah.
And then is there less intention to break it? So it needs some training. So I just need to go through, and then I think it will make it much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. You just do it a few times. If you're just there in front of your chart, sometimes just looking at how these trades unfold, like I can bring to your attention on how to look at the volume as a whole, because that makes a difference too. Because you have to look at it in like 2 or 3 layers. Layer number 1 is each piece. Layer number 2 is in this context, and layer number 3 is in this context. You have to look at them in these sort of 3 dimensions.
but how is it if we are in these low time frames? They have, or usually we see high volume bonds. Even institutions are coming in.
Yeah.
But this is later in the story because they want to see the confirmation.
You mean the larger players to buy
Yes.
more?
Yes.
So it's not the larger player, it's the hedge funds that come in, what the institutions are referring to with volume, once they get the confirmation. The hedge funds and stuff, if they have traders on their desk, then they'll go after. So the one-on-one guy I'm training right now works for a hedge fund.
Mhm.
Right. So their involvement generally is going to be after the Adidas logo.
Mhm.
Like full-blown confirmation. What I'm training you guys is to monitor, observe the primary, the secondary, and maybe even get in sooner and start your positions there.
Mhm.
And then you really add and size up after the Adidas. But when you're on a lower time frame, you can't do all that primary, secondary stuff here. It's very, very hard. It's best to just play here.
Yeah.
Because if it's on its way, you can put your small stop loss and say, I don't care, let's go.
Yeah, here in this case, it is 2.5 pips spread.
In which one? In pound New Zealand?
Yes, for New Zealand.
I put the same stop loss, but my entry was 38. So stop loss was 10 pips. But yeah, 41 to 48 is not bad. 6.5 pips, right? In this one. There you go. You got your consolidation. If you were a cheese trader, that's where you would extract some money.
Okay.
There's volume coming in now. So it's high volume. Again, sell initiation. If it makes a lower low, it's for us. If it doesn't make a lower low, then that's too much high volume coming at the bottom. If it makes a lower low, then just trade whatever positions or size you removed in the consolidation, stops break even, ride the rest, or add size.
Okay.
And this all comes from how far are you in this story? Are you here where you're trading? Like you're seeing the 1 minute volume and stuff, but are you here? Are you in the early stages?
Yes.
This is what we refer to as fresh, right? It's brand new. It's brand new demand. It just rolled over from the range. So you're here trading, basically.
Okay.
The lower it goes, it becomes less fresh. Okay. What a refresh is there is a buy volume comes in sometimes and it pulls back like that, like deeper, takes out the guy who started about a refresh is coming in. Then it would come down, challenge him, those high volume guys, and crush him through. And then it would say, it's refreshed, the demand is back on.
Okay. And with that one, there's usually a probe.
There's usually a probe, but you see this. Why do we call this fresh? because it just turned brand new, right?
Yeah.
This used to be a buy, and then it just turned by killing the buy, hence refresh. It's fresh again.
Okay.
Brand new.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, because it just means as long as you have volume here, then you're like, is back in action, baby. We're going back to the downtrend. So it's a
Okay.
refresh.
What would have happened with our initial position if we took it on the first retracement?
Which first retracement?
We were talking about this one where it came back and then pulled in
Oh, yeah,
and then
this one.
consolidated and broke. So here we don't get a lot of volume on the pop.
No.
And so how would we have been managing that trade?
Nothing. You'd have to take your gains whenever you see a green candle start coming in or consolidation, just take it.
Okay.
Because you're not seeing intention. If you don't see intention, it's like, I don't know how long it's going to last.
Okay.
So now we are seeing that demand is fading a little bit because the pressure is slowing down and we see higher volume in a lower area compared to these areas, which had a better price.
One more time, sorry.
So now we see that we get more and more volume with less power behind it.
Yeah.
Compared to the better prices before. So their demand is slowing down.
Okay. But
This-
if as long as there's volume there, that means like less volume is not a problem. As long as they're pumping the volume, that's good. Because you have to use this bar as your reference. If they're pumping money, even if it's less, pumping money, that means in their mind, there's still a ways to go to target. That's why it's okay. So you don't need this type of volume over and over again. Not like that. It will never be like that. It will always be less and less, but as long as it's in this shape. And these spikes are always when the sell happens again, sell happens again, sell happens again. Then it's like, this is sell intention. Every time it comes up, someone with money hits the sell. So it doesn't matter if it's less money, that's okay. But he's still hitting the sells. That means he's still desperate. If he's still desperate, I can supply to him.
But here we have more volume than previously on average. So
not on average. What you need is if you have this volume on a, let's say, a green candle suddenly like that, then we say time to cash out, because I think they're cashing out. Generally, this happens 40% of the times, not a lot. It's not common. What will happen is suddenly they'll go down, no volume. Then they'll pull back, no volume. And then they go down, new low, no volume. This is the normal way. When they have no volume showing up, it's like, well, how's it going down? It just means there's no buyers, but the seller is not pumping the money either. So the price is just dropping. So it's that part where we feel there is no requirement. If there's no requirement, we don't come in and with a big chunk of like orders and say, yeah, you want some? He's like, I've never said I wanted any. So
then he's not giving us a good price.
then he's not giving us a good price. He'll give us a worse price, and then we have to take the loss and say, damn it,
Yeah.
I made a loss on this business transaction.
Okay.
So we're just a merchant. We're in between. We're a fancy broker. I think if that sinks in, it can become easier on how to trade, or at least pair selection.
Yeah.
This will be all in the free course. I had nothing else to do when I was sick, so I was just thinking of the topics of the free course.
Oh,
So I think it's a good thing because this is not there in YouTube anywhere. So it will be good if we start it.
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got volume at the bottom.
It's not high enough. It needs to be high. High as in like
Outstanding.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like this is high. It's out, like it sticks out.
But we
Okay.
would need higher seller volume than buyer volume.
Sorry?
But we would need the sell to be higher in volume than the buy pullback volume.
Yeah. So let's say right now it goes down again and the volume is just a little bit higher on the sell side. That's okay. But notice how the average is hanging around here, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly, if a green candle comes and the volume is double the average, then it's not normal. It sticks out. And why are they trading not normally in a buy area, not a sell area? That's a warning sign. So this is a bottom of a range from the 60. Why are they hitting a very green, let's say a big volume from the bottom of the range should be for a buy, but in fact it goes down for a sell? That means that's an intentional seller. Okay, because this volume, look at the normal. This is normal.
Yeah.
And then suddenly this is like what, 3-4 times more than normal. So someone hit it so much that the price slipped and we're like, got it. Pick up a phone call, call everybody. Hey man, I need some orders.
Okay.
If you rewatch the show Billions and you understand when they're short squeezing and X makes a phone call to a couple of his enemies and says, I need some orders. I need some shares, loan me the shares. It's that same concept. You can't find it on the market. You're happy to pay premium by picking up the phone call and saying, just give it to me.
Okay.
That's where we come in, is saying, if we know he's desperate and we have a few orders, he will scream at us saying, just give it to me. How much money do you want? Take it. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
Because what he knows, we don't know. He knows he's going to go from here to maybe here, but we don't know that. We just know, you want it? I got it. It's like, that's all we're doing. We're in business with him. You know.
Yeah.
We're not doing the research to the big move. He's playing the big game of, world domination, stuff like that.
So we are world domination assistants.
If you put it that way.
I think we actually get in the way though, because we buy it before he can buy it, and then we make him buy it from us at a higher price.
Because we have access to the retail section. We can buy a bunch of orders from the retail section. Plus, they need to use algorithms to buy, 1,000 lot, 1,000 lot, 1,000 lot, 1,000 lot. We come in and saying 100 lot, 100 lot, 100 lot. We get filled quickly. He might have this thing where he needs the black market also, or the black liquidity, if you want to call it, to supply him as quickly as he can. Because for him also, timing is of the essence. But for him, timing is, I need to get in here. For us, timing is, if I can get into that candle,
Yeah. Okay.
within one candle, we will get filled. He will not get filled even in this many candles. He doesn't get filled properly. That's how much money is flowing.
Okay.
But we will get filled all 100 lots in here, no problem.
So it's always the lower size gets filled first.
Not first, but because there's so many retail businesses, a lot of brokers also first provide to their customers. They'll give them the orders and saying, we'll give it to you, we'll deal with it later. So they do that too. So if a good trader comes in, he can close a whole broker down.
Oh,
So it's risky also for brokers. That's why many brokers, they're always monitoring trade activity. If there's a good trade activity, then they will hedge. So Pepperstone doesn't do that. From what I understand, Pepperstone, they just 95% of the time, they just hedge it. So if you do a buy, Yash is doing a sell, they will match you guys together. But if your buy is 100 lots and Yash is selling 50 lots, they will match you guys together first and then take the 50, put in the market as a hedge. So that way they're not exposed as a risk.
okay.
So now we had similar volume to the previous buyer volume.
Yep. And then it became quiet and sellers are hitting it again. The volume's coming back up.
Yeah.
But you can see it's no longer sticking out like it used to. This is now hanging around normal. If it's like sticking out, sticking out, sticking out, we like that, where it's like unusual look. It's not normal. It's ta-da! Like, you know how you take that hammer and you have to hit the squirrels or something in that game? It's like
Yeah.
that. The
Okay.
higher it sticks out, the more prominent.
And they are willing to get a better discount based on the range they have built. So the desperation is lower because they did a range discount basically.
Yeah, this would be like a 15-second thing. Like, I would prefer the 1 minute because spread and stuff, but this is a 15-minute real time.
Yeah, I'm just reading the demand.
Yeah.
How strong is it still? And overall, it's getting slower because we get more and more less power.
Yeah, so you have to keep in mind a few things. Are they pumping the cell with volume? And two, if they pump the cell with volume, how much does it slide? If it goes slow, that means fill, not filled, filled, not filled, filled, not filled. But if it goes fast, a lot not filled. That means they're still here. They still want it. So whenever you have two legs that are like, whoop, whoop, then you're like, can still play. And then if it goes slow, 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 cannot. Because that means they're not so desperate anymore. But as long as you get some red, it's like still there. If it's not him, it's the smaller hedge funds and stuff that are thinking it's still a sell and we can supply to them. But the key is fresh. How fresh do you trade? What happened to your Aussie CAD?
It's depressing me.
Huh?
I think the
That's good,
probe
right?
came in. I was almost there. So I should have been expecting this. Is that the lesson that I should take away?
No, this is not the time frame we were looking at. What's the time frame we were looking at?
The 1 hour.
The 1 hour. So the 1 hour would be a probe of that fella.
Okay, so
haven't
this
got that
move
yet.
that's going up is just a no trade. It's not a valid trade for us.
You can do that too, but you have to know that you have to get out at the first sign of problems because they're probably going to come back to test. Probably. This is
Okay.
in a demand move, but this is not a demand move. I don't know what this is. This is a demand move, but then this is a demand move also. We're supposed to get a no volume pullback, not a high volume pullback.
Yeah.
So you're getting, like you said, leftovers from the pound coming onto Aussie CAD because you get a little bit of volume increase, but it's also market open, right?
Yeah. So with a trade like this, we trade smaller if you want to get involved.
If you want to get involved. The question you have to ask yourself is, what is my value proposition in this business transaction? What am I providing and to who?
Okay. In this case, we can't see that people really want to buy Aussie CAD.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. You find that you have easier trades. At least
Okay.
scalable trades. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Pound New Zealand is still pumping money.
Still dropping it. But I'm not getting much volume.
Even though we have higher sell volume.
I need pumping to be like this. I can see it there. If I look up, where is this one? It's there. Okay. This one, if I look up, where is it? It's, well, these are not pumping volumes, but that one's there. This, you see where I'm like, where my eye is attracted to?
Yeah.
But I'm not doing anything like this. I'm not saying, you see this blue green one? I'm not looking at those sudden changes. I'm looking for, if I move back from my monitor, what are the ones that stick out that I can see? And then I look up and say, huh, that's at a good location. Like this almost is sticking out. If it's a little bit higher, I would say, yes, it sticks out.
But now, if we cross the 50%, it's normal that they are more quiet. And can't we then say pullback is low and we have a higher push down still?
No, that's going too much in details.
Okay.
Yeah, it's best to keep it simple. It's your moving average. Get at least 1.5 to 2 times higher.
Okay.
So it has some volume, but not crazy. But desperation seems to be there now.
Naveen, is this more for the 1 minute that it must really stick out? Because on Aussie CAD, we were looking at volumes that weren't really sticking out as saying the seller's still hitting it, pumping up. So like on this one's 1 minute, we wanted to really stick out. But when we looked at Aussie CAD, we were saying he's still pumping here, even though the volume is not really sticking out. It sticks out a little bit compared to the pullback, but not really compared to the average.
The reason why I know that is because I know that's a big news event. I was there. I looked at it.
Okay.
So that was one of the, was it CPIs or something? I think Tony, you'll have it.
For Aussies, yes. For
Yeah.
something significant.
Some unemployment or something like that. I forgot what it was.
Okay, so that reason gives it a bit more power. Okay.
Yeah. And there's certain things my eye catches. This is a very sensitive area that was trapped.
Okay.
They crashed. So I can only assume it's this, along with buyer cannot do anything, along with they stopped pumping. Okay, they painted enough picture for me. Whatever this news was seems to be dramatic.
Okay.
That they were pumping up until this point, and then right after they stopped pumping, just slightly after, it completely reversed, which means they pumped all the way up until 90%. And then suddenly the news changed and they had to abandon their strategy.
Okay.
So
This is unemployment.
Unemployment? No. So there you go.
Okay.
So you want to put these pieces of information together and find out. Let's go back to pound New Zealand. Go up to was it 4 hour real quick? Okay. You see, on the 4 hour, there's no story to read, right? The only thing we have going for us is that. Okay, go down to the 60. Okay. Is there a story to read here?
There was an uptrend. Guy who started it, taken out. Seller's territory now.
Not yet. So remember, this is whatever this uptrend was, they were pumping it, right?
Yes.
And then it became a little too high at the top. That's fine. He couldn't hold. And the news event today says, no, no more. And that happens to be at resistance. So it's not a trend pullback design that you're normally used to. It's at a resistance. The buyers have stopped. It's rolled over, and whatever that is has pushed it down. Now, in my mind is, what if he bounces, comes back to test that guy? That can happen. I'm more interested in this news just came out as we were speaking. Let's go down to the 1 minute and let's do this thing.
Okay.
And where we did our thing is somewhere here, I believe, right? But notice we got involved after we saw something that says, I'm here, I'm hot, let's go. And why he's hot seems to be doing something major. He's killed this uptrend. So it's a big deal. It's not a small thing. It's a big deal. Consolidation has been broken. Volume has come in. Okay. Therefore, I'm going to go down to the 1 minute and do something. And from all the pounds, nothing looks like we could have sold. Pound Swiss looked like we could have sold. That was in a range, right?
Yeah.
Let's shrink this back to your entire pound group, and let's move on to pound Swiss. Let's take a look at that one. That one looked like it was in a big range. Let's open that one up. Ooh, Swiss became weak. Swiss became weak. That one's out.
Can we have a look at what we would have done and how we would have responded as it started to become weak?
Sure. This one, you're getting a lot of buy pumping on Swiss, actually.
Should I go to the 1 hour?
Yeah, let's go to the 60.
Okay.
This is that range that broke, right? So let's go down, and we say if this is the top of the range, it held, it slowed down, and then popped. Okay, so then we go down to, let's say, the 5 minutes or the 1 minute as it pops down.
Okay.
Okay. Where is the news event? It's here.
7 a.m. Yeah.
It's here. So this goes sideways, it drops. Okay. All right. Then this one finally gets a movement up as a pullback. Comes down, drops down, comes back to test him. That's fine. That's expected. And then it's game on.
Okay.
Volume here, and then very high volume here, but no follow through. You see the difference between these volumes? They're very, very high now.
Yeah, okay, so that's pumping.
Yeah, that's pumping, but also in the context of this, where is the highest volumes?
At the bottom.
Yeah, just one here and then at the bottom.
Okay.
This area we have to watch when it's on its way up. Unless this volume comes from here, this wick. Or tail, sorry. Yeah. This, you can see it's not smooth like pound New Zealand, this one. It's a lot more aggressive. What happened on this? There was a Swiss news?
Let me check. No, not yet. In 4 minutes, there will be a speech, a Swiss speech. But could it be that we reached this support area? That's why it's not safe to continue a momentum cell so close to a landmine.
Yeah, but your momentum cell is much earlier. Like, it's good to draw these lines because this is part of your point system, right? To make sure you have your intraday lines as well. But at the same time, this is where your cell is, in here somewhere.
Okay.
But I'm just more concerned about why the buy.
It's the speech. It already released at London Open.
Oh, okay. So it's an ongoing speech right now.
Oh, I didn't refresh my screen.
Okay. So that's doing something to Swiss weakness. Well, the only thing that's going to do it is if this speech is as strong as we think it is, then he needs to break out and show we broke out this many days of data. That means this is important to supply. Give them the orders they need. But if the speech was a fluff and he cannot break this high, you can go back with the pound weakness. And this is basically your test that just came up.
Okay.
It's a messy one, this one. You would have a small win inside of it, and then you'd have a loss if you take another one. This has come to an end. Look at the volume. That sticks out. It's at the bottom, green bar.
So that's exit.
That's
okay.
it. Cash out. It's over. So, but you see why this volume we look at, how it sticks out, it looks more than normal.
Yeah.
So generally it's like I'm looking at the MA I'm trying to see how much more than the MA, and then I see the surrounding around me.
Okay.
So yes, this is like, for example, more than the MA, but then the surrounding is just next to me. I'd like to see it more than the MA, and then the surrounding is still nothing. That's perfect, because that means it's a sudden transaction. That sudden transaction means either they're suddenly buying it or suddenly selling it. If they're with my trend, good for me. But if they're suddenly doing this transaction, that means they're exiting. Okay, then we need to exit too. So
Okay.
it's a sudden shock that they're like close, 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 close. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, the news. This was the juice of the news, and that's it. That's when you say my day is over. There's nothing more I can do. I did my momentum trades, and tomorrow, if my pound New Zealand, if you can go to the 60. On the 60, is the news really sticking out so much?
Not as much, not really,
Not
compared
really,
to the.
right? So if this was a bit higher, then we would say, oh, this is pretty important.
Okay.
Then we would say tomorrow, if we get some kind of a pullback into this area, maybe we can get some sells done again. Then that becomes a trade as a pullback into the next day. Today was momentum. News comes out, you play with the news. Tomorrow would be, as long as my buy has no volume, then as it rolls over, takes out the guy who started it, gives me Adidas logo, all that stuff, then we can get ready.
Okay.
Because you know what the story is. Okay, so you just have to keep track of what the next story comes out with the news event. The best ones are the ones that can break a level. If you break a level with that story, then it's like, oh, it's strong. This one, strong enough. It's not just breaking a range, but it's breaking an uptrend. And that range was responsible for the last part of that uptrend. So this is important. So if it's important, you know they need money, they need orders. Okay, let's get to work.
Okay.
Makes it easier, right? To just go where you're needed. That's it.
Yeah, pair selection has been a lot better since we started incorporating that fundamental pop into the analysis.
So
Now my mind
explain to me Aussie
understands. Yeah, the average has been better. I still need to like convince my mind about Aussie CAD, because the question keeps arising to me, like the pound did bring a demand. It's just maybe I didn't wait for that demand to show up properly before trying to get involved.
So go back to the Aussie CAD then. Okay, so let's say this has popped now, right?
Yeah.
Do you see intention? Exactly.
I see like
is the right word.
Okay.
When I say intention,
Okay.
that's what I mean. Intention or intention.
Okay. I'm wondering now about like this one. We knew it like coincided with a news. That's why we kind of gave it a little bit more weight. So I'm wondering if the same thing is happening with this one.
Okay, this was Aussie news.
Okay, and this one is unrelated to Aussie.
That's a pound news. So you're looking at a pair that is not so relevant to the news that's coming out. Of course, every pair is interconnected. What you're looking for is, where am I needed the most?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. So today it was in Aussie or CAD based on the calendar.
yeah, you just have to see okay, go down, let's go down to 15. Put a straight line
Okay.
at the 7 o'clock mark where the news happened. Excuse me. Yeah, look at how the news even started. Does that look like desperation and there's a lot of orders that are not filled?
No.
What you want is da 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 da, and then okay,
Okay.
now there's orders not filled. If
Okay.
there's orders not filled, we go give them some orders. But this is just slow and steady. It's like they're getting whatever they can. We don't even know if they want it because the next bar is red, the next bar is green with the tail on the bottom.
Okay.
But now it's going up like this. So it's like, okay, well, let's take a look at this from the 1 minute now and saying, should we supply to them now that we know this thing is going good? Now we can supply to them. Because let's take a look at this. What is this? Is that a pump? It's up here. What is that? What's this? It's up here.
Okay.
This one. Again, up there. You see what I mean? They're all in the wrong. We're all in the wrong spots. Let's take a look at this red and green one. That one. That one.
Okay. Also at the
They're
top.
all, yeah. Now this one is the first one that's looking okay, but it needs to follow through and get you something nicer. But this is not really sticking out yet. It needs to be bigger.
Okay. And then in the context of all of this,
yeah, no one
maybe we
pumped it
shouldn't give
ever.
it so much weight.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which means there is no purpose or target or anything. It is just simply responding to what is happening in the market. What you need is a larger player says, forget all the little guys. You do business with me. This is what we're doing. That's a lot easier because we know there's a force in the market going in one direction. Here, if you play a buy, a sell can happen or a buy can happen because everyone's throwing their opinions. It's a buy, it's a sell, it's a buy, it's a sell. Everyone has their opinion, right? But when a big boy comes in, it's like, I don't care what the opinion is. I have the most money. I want to go this way.
Okay.
And then the market goes that way. Make sense?
Yeah.
And what we refer to as the big boy is a collective of all the large money.
The bosses.
The big bosses. Yeah. It's the board, it's the boardroom, let's say. All the ones with the big money.
I don't care what you want. I want this. So basically, we are pinky, aren't we? We are pinky. We are not the brain. The big boss is the brain, and we are pinky.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I hope we're a lot smarter than Pinky.
That's a good analogy. He even says, what do we do today, brain?
yeah, that's perfect. Yes, it's the starting point. And you just ask the brain, yeah, what do we do today? Or what are we going to do today? Same thing we do every day.
Follow the money. Okay.
Yeah, everything making sense then?
Yeah, I'll Thanks for recording this one. I'll watch it a few times.
Yeah. How's the volume on this now?
So it is good now because it's breaking with volume.
Yeah.
But we
So
have
now-
clues from before. We can be asking the question, why weren't you desperate down here and now you're
Good.
desperate up here?
Good, good. That's the right way to think.
Because
And
this
if
is also
more-
a resistance.
Exactly. So if you suddenly get more volume, even though the design looks good, it's like, whoa, why is there volume at the top of this trend? That's dangerous. And that's where your lines come in handy, like, watch out. When you reach those lines and then you can spot, hey, this is good for me, this is good for me. Wait a minute, this is at the top of the trend. And then you stop yourself like, okay, there's a problem here.
Okay.
This is a pullback trade right now. You see this? Last guy who started it got taken out.
Yeah.
So when this last guy on the way up, Adidas pop, you're not supposed to buy immediately. Let it get tested. Here comes the test. If that's able to hold, that would be the buy. You see the difference between retracement and pullbacks?
Yeah, I see it now.
So pullback, basically, the market slows down enough and then it brings in a seller. So now you're fighting a seller. That's why.
Okay.
If you get like a candle or a candle design wick on the bottom that holds, has some volume, then you can just hit the buy.
Okay.
Let's take a look at, once this candle closes, let's go down to the 15 seconds, look at the volume of this. 20 seconds to go. Too soon. Get above this trend.
Oh,
It's not holding.
So technically it looked correct, but the volume is telling a different story.
The volume's a different story. So the design is there, but the design means nothing without the big picture, right?
Yeah.
So this is your first pullback that you've had on this one, or first place where you could trade and they're not giving you anything. It's deep. And it's not slowing down at all. Scary. Go back to the 15 seconds. Okay, volume is there, It'll have to get above that to be a buy, and this needs to maintain. As long as this is not taken out, story still active. It's getting ready, slowing down finally. Candles have slowed down. We need a follow through up. The buy would be at 93.45 would be the buy. Volume is on the buy side. That's your buy right now. You're up 1R at the moment. Okay, so far this area is not sensitive, which is good. Okay, it is sensitive. So this is just pattern trading right now, where it has nothing to do with the story. If the story is not there, your chances of your pattern working reduces like by 50% or more.
Okay.
A break below 43 would be the stop loss. Okay, volume is back a little bit. Back to testing Mr. Sensitive area. Okay, small candle, that's good. Small candle, that's good. So slow, right? 15 seconds.
Yeah. Too slow.
The volume has disappeared. It popped down from that range. Okay, less energy from the sensitive area. Stop loss is still good. Trade is still on. Nothing crazy on the volume on the 15 seconds yet.
Would we now say we are depending on the lack of sellers instead of a buy intention?
For what?
Like a home run style, where we say they have less and less power, there's less and less supply from sellers.
Yeah, it should then pop.
But it's not that we have a high buy intention, which just pressing through.
Correct. If you have this design in a high buy intention overall, then this thing would pop very aggressively.
Yeah.
So it's not out yet, but it's just dead, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it's hanging around too long. Now it's dead. That would touch stop loss. Yeah. So there's your Aussie CAD.
Okay.
Messy, right?
Yeah.
How long did it take us to do the pound New Zealand?
It's very quick.
Yeah. There was very less thinking because we come prepared on why we chose that, how we're going to do it, this and that. The story makes sense. And then the last minute technical stuff is just like, just get me in. Find me a way to get in. It'll work. Yeah. So that's more like if you want to day trade it. But yeah, tomorrow you can still keep an eye on it. It can probably turn into a swing trade tomorrow.
Okay. Monday, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Monday. Yeah. What happened to it? Is it still hanging around? Pound?
It's still low. It's at the 9200 price. So
It's
significant.
just hanging around. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. It's fine. For whatever move it is, whenever you're trading, whatever move it is, if you can say I've captured 2R from it or 3R from it, you're good. You just need one of those in a day, and you have your
And
money
scale it.
and very good money. Yes, scale it. As long as you're picking the good ones, you can scale as much as you want. You'll always get someone willing to take your order.
Okay.
If you pick the good ones, then whatever when you sell it back, they'll buy it from you. They'll say, okay, I'll take it. It's important to understand that logic, because if I bring you guys to stocks, you guys will feel the wrath of the stocks, because over there someone's like sell, and then you'll realize half of it's sold, the other half is not selling, no one is there to buy it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it becomes a mess. Cool.
Yeah, thanks, Naveen.
Cool, guys. I'm gonna
Thank
get
you.
some rest, and then I'll speak to you guys later.
Okay. All
See
the
you
best.
later.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, you have admin rights on Vimeo, right?
Yeah, I'll put it up.